again to all those who are just joining us. As I mentioned earlier, the speakers today are sharing their own experience. All of them have personalized different experiences. So learn what you can from that and use that to get your own opportunities too. Great. So we're ready to go right into the next person. We're going to have a time for Q&A at the end of the session for today. And the next person is Energy. Energy, if you're there, please unmute yourself, turn on your video, and the floor is yours. Let's remember to keep engaging. And I just wanted to mention that those of you who are sharing your LinkedIn profile, please make sure your LinkedIn is solid. Oh. Don't go and put one picture that when you send somebody a request, they will be like, who is this? Please make sure your LinkedIn is solid, okay? And it looks like you're ready, so the floor is yours. You can take it away.
Oh yeah. Can I share my screen?
Yes, you can share your screen.
Okay, great. Just a moment. Here we go, guys. All right. Well, just go this way. Okay. Great. I was toggling between watching Manchester City game, following the seminar here, and trying to put up the slide while I was listening as well. Anyways, my name is Sunny Daniel Energy, and I have got 20 minutes. Wait, can you hear me? Just let me know. I can't.
Yeah, yes, boss. Yes, boss.
Oh, great.
Yeah, we're hearing that.
Good. This is a topic I will be discussing: financial aid for graduate students. I just said my name is Sunny Daniel Energy. I prefer to be called Energy, or I go by Energy. And I'm in the School of Integrative Biology, University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. I think that's all the more detail. So financial aid for graduate students, basically, we're just going to talk about money, right? Yeah, because coming to the US to school is really expensive, right? And so you need to prepare yourself or to be aware of all the opportunities. Not exactly, I may not cover all, but most of the opportunities available for you to take advantage of. Yeah, I also, like, I forgot to say this when I just started, but I don't think I've ever spoken to as many people as this over Zoom. 164. Maybe I have. Maybe I haven't. Never mind. So we'll just go through or in a general sense, the available opportunities for financial aid for somebody who is a graduate student. And by graduate students, I mean anything above undergraduate. We use British English in Nigeria, and so we would call it postgraduate, but in the US it's called graduate, right? So anything above undergraduate studies. So I'm not talking about 100 level student, I'm talking about either master's or PhD or, stuff like that. Yeah, so understanding financial aid at graduate level. Basically, what is financial aid for grad school? Here I just say it's funds or money that students receive to pay for their education expenses. Schooling in the US is really expensive. So basically, I really don't know how most of us would have ever made it here if there was nothing like financial aid. It includes grants, scholarship, loans, fellowship, assistantships, and other programs designed to help students. Yeah. For the most part, our focus today would be on assistantships. And we'll talk a little about scholarships, right? We'll talk a little about scholarship, but the most part, we'll talk about fellowships, we'll talk about assistantships, we'll talk about a little scholarship, a little fellowships. And yeah, so what are the types of financial aid available for graduate students? You've got teaching assistantship. I'll come back to all of this. I'll just skim through them now. You have research /lab assistantship, and then you have graduate assistantships. So usually when people talk about graduate assistantships, they're usually referring to both teaching assistantship and research assistantship. I don't want to get you confused, so I will just leave it at that. So when the GA here, the graduate assistantship, is like a graduate student, but there are many things you can do as a graduate student or as a graduate student to get assistantship. One of it is teaching, the other one is research or lab assistantship, and forget about the rest. Yeah, there are also fellowships, there are scholarships, there are loans. When we get to the end, I'll strongly discourage loans. Like, heads up, I'm going to talk against loans. So if you're waiting to hear something positive about how you can get loans to come here, um, I'm not the best person to speak on that. And so, what is teaching of financial aid? Basically, it's like, and this is the interesting part, when most of us got the admission, and then on our admission letter they wrote, you'll be getting this amount tuition waiver, this amount as a monthly stipend. And well, what I told my family, I told them, you know what, I've just gotten scholarship. Like, but what you realize is that scholarship is very different from teaching assistantship or any other thing. uh, Technically it's a scholarship, but it's the fact that you really have to work for this kind of scholarship. This is not like the way you get money in other places. Teaching assistantship is, so this is the big picture. It's a financial aid. The school employs you. You are like a staff, an ad hoc staff that supports or assists a professor in teaching a class or doing whatever the professor does for that class. You either, sometimes you have to prepare material for that class, sometimes you have to, conduct tutorials or what have you. And as an international student, especially, and even as a graduate student, you are expected to work for just 20 hours a week, and they pay you for that 20 hours a week. One of the benefits you get as a teaching assistant is that you get your tuition waiver, so you don't get to pay tuition fee, and you can take about any class. Like currently, I'm taking classes I'm in integrative biology, but I like statistics, I like maths, so I'm taking classes in modeling, and hopefully I'll take classes in economics. It's just anything you like, just take classes, and then, but you want to take class that aligns with your research. Nonetheless, you get free tuition fee to do that. Yeah, and the advantage of TE also is that it provides you with experience for teaching and mentoring. If going into academia is like one of your big goal, yeah, some department make it compulsory that you TA for at least one semester. Generally, assistantship can have time limits, and so they say, this is a way you get funding. So how do you get into a TA, which is something I'm sure you're interested in? Usually, let's say, like in my case now, in my department, when you get admission, they state it in your admission letter that you will get 3 years, the department will support you with at least 3 years of teaching assistantship, and your supervisor can support you with at least 2 years of teaching assistantship. That is one way. The other way also is that, well, yeah, basically that's how it comes mostly. So you come to the school, and the school tells you that, say, for your tuition and everything, you get this aid. If you want it, you take it. If you don't, you can try something else. That is one way you can get financial aid. The other, so I put this here, probably, the idea of being a teaching assistant. This is probably how I felt on the first day. No, on the first day I was nervous. On the second day, what I thought, you felt like for the first time you're teaching Oyinbo children. And so I felt like this. So the other way you can get money for your graduate study is through RA, or research assistantship. And by research assistantship, in this case, you are not helping a professor to teach a class, you are helping a professor to conduct research. Sometimes this research would, eventually lead to your own thesis or whatever project you're going to do. But the big picture here is that you are working as a student. So you are a student and you're also working, but you're working with a professor. And because of the work you do, you get paid for it. This should be the goal for almost everybody, for many reasons. Number one, usually get the same amounts you get paid as a TA. Number two, it provides you with enough time to do other things you want to focus on studies or do valuable research. So you get paid for doing that, and also you don't get to pay your tuition fee. So when we say reach out to professors before you come to this place, this is what we're actually referring to. When you reach out to a professor and the professor says, you know what, I'm going to take you. I'm sorry, I'll have to pause and check the chat. I don't know if anything is happening there. Okay. Nothing. GA position can also be administrative. Oh yeah, thank you, Faye. Oh great, so I can continue. So So this is what we usually advise people to aim for or aim at when you apply for, when you're reaching out to professors that I want to work in your lab. It's basically, hey, um, if you, I want to come to your lab because this will also be part of how I get financial aid. So financial aid RA is, you get to assist the professors to conduct research, collect data, analyze findings, and write reports. It provides you with valuable research experiences, and as an RA, you get the opportunity to publish more. And if you're interested in academia, that is the way to go, guys. Oh, yeah, so there's something important I noted down. Sometimes your support might come from both TA and RA. Earlier, I said, you have 20 hours to work as a TA. Yeah, sometimes sometimes your supervisor might want you to do a work in a lab and say, hey, I will provide you with funding, but I don't have all the money to provide you with. So you would work 50% of your time as an RA and 50% of your time as a TA. RA research assistant, TA teaching assistant. And so it could be a split sometimes that way. Okay, I think I'll come back to that. But in case I forget, let me just say it now. It's very important when you get your admission letter or when you're applying to know what your source of fund is. And if you're here and have already applied and have gotten admission, it's also important to know if what percentage is to TA, what percentage is for RA, and if it will meet your need. I'll come back to that. I hope I remember. So what else have I got here? So the other ones are scholarship and fellowship, financial aid. So for most people applying to the US and saying, I'm coming to the US, I'm applying for scholarship. When people send me DM, this is mostly what I get. Please teach me how to get a scholarship. I'm like, I did not come here through scholarship. Scholarship is one thing completely different. Scholarship, that is another way you can fund your studies though. So with scholarship, so I'll just read what's on the screen. And fellowship are financial aid packages that provide support to graduate students based on academic merit or financial need. So scholarships are awarded based on academic achievements or other criteria such as community service, leadership, or athletic. Most of us in the US are not here based on scholarship. There are a few people who are, compared to the rest. And when you talk about scholarship, you're usually referring to things like Erasmus, Commonwealth, DAD, MasterCard, and the likes, right? So for those ones, you get chosen based on your academic achievement. Hey, I'm a first class student. Hey, I've done this. Hey, I've done that. Or say you are working with an organization, like I have a friend here who was selected by her organization for the Commonwealth Fellowship, and that is scholarship. Basically, you usually don't do much compared to a T or RA. See, if you are coming here, your financial aid is mostly what you get paid what you work for in the US, mostly. The scholarships don't come that common. And so that is one way you can get funding, but I don't think I have enough time to go into the details of how to apply. That's like a different talk, how to apply for all those Erasmus, DAD, Commonwealth, and the rest. But this is the general. So the other way you can get funded for your program is through fellowships. And usually this one is for graduate students. It's not very common for you to get fellowship before coming, especially international students. There are, because I have somebody who is here on Fulbright scholarship, Fulbright fellowship. So they are rare, but usually if you're already here, like I'm applying for some and hopefully I get them. Some people call fellowship like free money, right? Free money because when it's like an organization, I'll give you an example. For example, there's a company called Bayer, which is an ag company, an agricultural company. And one of the things they do is they look for some of the good students in universities and they train the students to prepare them for working in the industry. So what they do is, okay, as they're training you, they're giving you like they're teaching you how to become a member of the industry. And so during the process, they give you fellowship that takes care of your tuition fee and the likes. So fellowships are usually for research potential, like this one here. and they typically provide support for tuition, living expenses, and research-related expenses. Yeah, the other way you can get funding for your for grad studies, and I strongly discourage this. It's loans. And like as you can see, the image I have here for it, it's like a burden. And I really discourage loan, but this is usually for people who do not get like funding for their program, or they get partial funding and stuff like that. So there are different organizations. I didn't really take a look into this because it's not something I've ever really wanted to take a look into or encourage anybody towards. Is financial aid packages that support to graduate students in the form of loan that must be repaid with interest. And I know the idea, I know the thought is like, hey, if I come to the US, I'll make enough money. See, students loan in the US is like one of the biggest loan. It's the biggest loan. And unlike other type of loans where you could be forgiven, you don't get forgiven for student loan. The government doesn't wipe it off. So you definitely have to pay. It's like a burden on your neck. And it's really expensive also. Like I said earlier, school in the US is really expensive. So loans can provide support for tuition, living expenses, and other education-related expenses, but they must be repaid after graduation, which can result in significant financial burden. Internet students, yeah. So one of the most common way I've seen people get loan is Empower. Sincerely, to be honest, I'm not taking a look into that. I'll see in the chat if anybody has anything about it. Okay. Oh, no, nobody yet. Yeah, so anybody here who has tried those stuff can, say something in the chat, but Empower is one of the most common one, the common one I've had. And so, but I don't encourage loans. Yeah, so this is like a valedictorian speech, like a graduation speech, and I don't know. This is a great day for you, except for those of you leaving college with any student loan debt. It's not easy, seriously. In the US, getting the loan debt is crazy. Don't go for it, please. And yeah, so in conclusion, it's important for you to understand how your money will come as a graduate student, because they will be what you would need to get on. Living here is expensive. You need source of income. And there are a lot of challenges you might face in obtaining financial aid, especially as graduates, as international students. So if I may recap, basically, I'll just go back very quickly and say, so this is what we discuss. The most important part of my discussion, I'll say, is this part here that, there is a teaching assistantship, the research assistantship. These are different from scholarships because you work for what you're earning, okay? And in fact, currently, there are a lot of strikes among graduate students that we are not earning as much as we should. Yeah, when you apply and you really want to make findings, okay, research assistantship, I forgot to mention this. It's not just about the money. Also, you want to find out or the person you're coming to work with, if it's worth it. I got like more pay. I could have gone to Austria, because just like they pay a whole lot in Europe, in that part of Europe, to as research assistant, but my supervisor here is a really great guy, and I just couldn't resist the temptation to work with him. So yeah, you want to make findings about the available opportunities for teaching. And when you apply to grad school, also when you're emailing the graduate coordinators, you want to establish this from the beginning, that there is enough money for your program that covers your program. I've got a minute to go. So you want to ask that, hope there's enough money. And these teaching assistantships and research assistantships are usually for a time period. Like mine, I can't stay for more than 5 years, right? So I need to complete my thesis before then. All right, guys, this is the much I have for now. Good luck in your applications. Well, I don't know. I'll leave my LinkedIn profile here, link, and hopefully if you want to connect, that's good, but good luck.
Great. Thank you so much, Energy. We enjoyed your session. Someone asked a question, which is, where do you find these opportunities? And I feel like the first place to start, aside from LinkedIn, is school websites. Please go to school websites and check. Go to school websites. They have all the information that you need there. Great. Thank you so much, Energy, for that